Hello, everyone, and welcome to Snap Take. This is Glazer of Snap Judgments, the official podcast of Marvel Snap Zone. And today we've got some great decks for you. Some of these, however, are decks we've already covered that didn't catch on as meta decks, although they absolutely should have. So we're going to look at them again and urge you like crazy to start playing these lists. The number 4 list in Marvel Snap is the one we're going to start with. This is Dr. Shrimp Puerto Rico's Silver Surfer list, and this is a teched out surfer list that is really, really great into the current meta, especially as Skaar starts to come back into the meta. Skaar Surtur will be returning. If it hasn't in your part of the meta yet, it will be returning as everyone sort of realizes that the Surtur nerf is not that bad. This deck is very good against that matchup. It's very good against the Bullseye matchup. It's very good against the Mill matchup. It's very good against the Arisha matchup. This is teched out to solve the meta. This is a deck from Smiles via twitch.tv/Roran Plays. Please go check out Roran. He's a brilliant player and really kind person. This deck only needs 2 high series cards, Galacta and Hope Summers. Please note, any other card that's really high series here is sort of a tech card. It's here for specific matchups. So if you're struggling, you're going to need to find a different way to handle those matchups. But you can try without Hope Summers. The problem is that Mobius is all over this meta. At least he's all over my meta. If you're not seeing much Mobius, then you can feel free to replace Hope Summers with Sarah. I swear I'm facing Mobius like every other game, so it's a bit rough for me. Red Guardian here can be Rogue. That is the standard replacement. There's things each one is better and worse against. Red Guardian is a better card, but Rogue offers a lot as well. Cassandra Nova is here as Arishem Tech and Surtur Tech, but Cassandra, as is Rocket, while Rocket also helps with location problems. They can be Shaw, Gladiator, or whatever big 3 you want. If you don't have them, you are going to need some stats in this list. US Agent can be Forge or Shang-Chi. You will be totally fine with either of those changes. I'm curious to try Adam Warlock. If you want more about that, please double check yesterday's video's main deck. And then finally, Roram is running Shang for Absorbing Men. Sorry, not finally. There's one more. Mobius can be Cosmo here, or Luke Cage. Pick your tech card of choice. Turn 1, you want to play Nova in this list. You want to get Nova out because you are running Killmonger. Killmonger is amazing against various Victoria Hand style decks, variants move, bounce, or bounce style decks that are sort of around the meta. You are going to have to remember to throw a Prio the turn you want to play it, though. Turn 2 is US Agent. You will just play US Agent cold in a naked location. That is totally fine for this list. Turn 3, Hope is better than Cassandra Nova. Basically, always here. Hope over Cassandra Nova. There's an occasional Surtur deck case for Cassandra to be made, but at that point you should have really just drawn US Agent, and then on turn 5 you're going to want to be playing US Agent. So you're not going to want that second 3 from Hope. That's like the only case where you're really going to play Cass over Hope. Hope is basically means you get to play 2 3s on turn 5, and then a 3 and a 4 on turn 6, both of which are incredibly strong. The other turn 3 play that you might want to consider is Mobius. There's games Mobius just wins, and I'll use the obvious example. If you're playing against Mr. Negative, if you're playing a deck that's already dropped a Ravona or a Zabu, if you can drop Mobius, that's often a snap condition. It can really, really ruin their curve. Be wary though, not negative, right? Like let's say they play that Zabu and then they drop their Malekith or their Man Thing on turn 3, they've already gotten the value before you can Mobius, which is a little rough. That's why it's a conditional snap condition. It's something worth considering. Rocket and Groot is the next possible turn 3 play. Rocket Groot can go over Mobius if you don't think Mobius is going to do much, and you can Brood, and you can move Brood up if you are going to go Brood Absorb Man, but I really want to save Brood for after a potential Galacta. Turning Brood into a 3/15 is usually enough to make me want to hold that card, but Brood Absorb Man is still an incredibly strong play, as anyone who played pre-Galacta should probably remember. Galacta is absolutely a snap condition for this list. If you have Galacta in any of the payoffs for Galacta, Brood, another big 3, then you should really be getting ready to snap. Galacta is incredible for that kind of thing. If you can go Galacta on Hope, you can play like a Forge into Brood, and then if you play one of those cards on Hope Summers, right? You can end up going Absorbing Man to copy that Brood into Surfer, and then you have 15 power worth of Brood and 21 power worth of Absorb Man. Then you could Surfer on top of that for even more power. It's insane strength and worth going for. Sometimes you will draw Hope a turn late, and you've drawn Nova a little late, and you can just drop a Hope and Nova. That is an incredible play on turn 4. That again gives you 2 3s. Abs on Brood can be a snap. It's not always a snap, depends on the location setup and what your opponent's playing. But if you have space and they don't seem to have disruption, that is often a snap. But I would never Brood, generally speaking, if Galacta was in hand. I'd much rather save it. Turn 5 is 2 3s if and that's a snap if you have Surfer and a tech card for the matchup that you're facing. Assuming that you can tech out the matchup and you have Surfer in hand, then the 2/3s on 5 is a snap condition. If not, you're playing U.S. Agent or not no, Cassandra, U.S. Agent or Classic Nova with a 3-drop just fine. Don't forget that if you want to play a card before your 3-drop so that you can copy that 3 with Absorb Man or do something else with that 3, you can play that card under Galacta and not waste its buff, and then you'll still have the second play be that Brood or whatever else. Turn 6, Brood, Killmonger, or Absorb Man and Surfer. Um, or Surfer and, excuse me, that should say or Surfer, then Absorb Man. Cool. So you will use Absorb Man to copy like a Cassandra Nova or Brood at this point, especially strong, by the way, against Arishem. Or you can play Killmonger if you have Nova out and it wrecks their board and Surfer. Or you can play that Galacta Brood and Surfer. Or you can just do Surfer and Absorbing Man and win the game. That's how you play this list. This is, again, one of the best lists in the game right now. It is a top rank list. Surfer is the most slept on deck in Marvel Snap right now. Again, check yesterday's video for more on that. But this is a must play deck. I cannot urge you to give this a go enough. And I cannot urge you to hit that sub enough. Here on this channel, we do 7 days a week of Marvel Snap video. As you watch this, I'm on vacation in the Dominican Republic. It doesn't matter. We don't miss days. Since March 6th of 2023, we have missed 0 days of content on this channel when we had a planned video. Appendix surgery, nothing stops me. We get the most top decks of anyone. So check the bottom right corner. You see that little YouTube button? You press that, you're subbed. If you want the most great decks in Marvel Snap, hit that sub button. In addition, we are giving away a Sam Wilson Captain America. We announced last week's winner on yesterday's video if you're interested. We will also be giving away another Sam Wilson this week. As soon as I'm home, I will announce that Sam Wilson winner. All you have to do is sub, like, and then I'm going to ask you to leave a comment later. And the question you see on the screen is a trick. It's just in case anyone scrolls for that. I'm going to verbally ask a question, and then you answer that question, and you are entered to win a season pass. The Skaar Farm. I covered this deck about 2 weeks ago on a Saturday. And no one talked about it, but Roram saw it. And then Roram started playing it, and then a bunch of other people in Roram's little pixel group started playing it. And all of a sudden, this is the top win rate deck in High Infinite. Period. Bar none. Over 100 games of 65% win rate with an absurd like 0.8 cube rate. This is one of the best decks. If you're not seeing opposing Luke Cage, this deck farms the frickin' meta, and you should be playing it right now. It also got buffed since I shared it. Please note, that is showing Scorpion as a 2/2. Scorpion is now a 2/3. This deck has gotten nothing but better since I originally shared it. It's incredible. Oh no, I don't have card replacements here, but I do have everything else, so that's fine. I can do card replacements on the spot. Ready? Silver Sable is the least important card in the deck. I am looking to replace that card all the time. I think I'm leaning Cull Obsidian. You could also be running U.S. Agent, and if you don't have any of those expensive cards, you can also, well, I guess Iron Patriot is similarly expensive. You can run a Cable. Pick your poison as a relatively cheap 2-drop, and you'll be fine. The only expensive card I'd really consider running there is Cull Obsidian. Sam Wilson is a requirement for this list. Sam Wilson's point in this list is that he enables you to run Miles Morales with just Rocket and Groot. That Sam and Miles combo is incredibly strong here. Another thing that you could do with Sable is run a cheap move card, a Jeff, a Nightcrawler, in order to give yourself an extra way to get into that Miles. But Sam is incredible for getting that Miles Morales, and a reason I'd like to run Cull Obsidian in this list. Outside of that, Cull just goes really well with Man-Thing. Cassandra Nova is fully replaceable. This is an evolutionary deck, so you can run Cyclops in that spot. You lose a little bit because Cassandra Nova affects the board, while Cassandra affects the whole hand, and you lose a little bit into the Arisha matchup. But Cassandra is very strong with Scorpion. If you go Scorpion and Cassandra, you've hit basically every card they have. They haven't played except one. That one card they drew between Scorpion and you playing Cassandra is the only non-negative card they have. I don't know if you know this, but that's pretty damn good for both Abomination and Ajax, and thus Cassandra Nova is great, but Cyclops is a perfectly fine replacement if a little awkward. Red Guardian is not required. Red Guardian can basically always be Rogue. Red Guardian is better for a lot of things that this deck particularly wants, including giving negative power, but Rogue is a perfectly acceptable replacement. Rogue does often a better job at taking out an opposing Luke Cage. Rocket and Groot, if you're going to replace that, again, you need a move card. You can try a Polaris just fine. You can try a Spider-Man Classic just fine because you need to hit that Miles Morales. But Rocket and Groot is the rug that ties the room together. He ties together the Affliction of the Ajax package with the move of the Miles package, and that's why he's here. Evo is required because Abomination is required. This deck does an incredible job at getting Abomination down to either 1 or 0. When Abomination is either 1 or 0, you win. Finally, Man-Thing and Ajax are absolutely required cards. They are both incredibly powerful. They are keys to the deck. If you can get Man-Thing on 2 cards and you Scorpion and Cassandra Nova, odds are by turn 5-6, Abomination is free if they didn't have a Luke. And if Abomination is free, you can play Abomination, Ajax, and Miles Morales. And that is just an absurdly powerful last turn, even if you never end up getting that Hazmat out. But you can still Hazmat just freaking fine on turn 5. So there's a lot to like here. This list has a lot of synergy there. Hazmat makes your Ajax absurdly big. You're not even bothering with a Luke, right? They can't copycat your Luke. They can't rogue your Luke. There is no Luke. You just go right over the top. Do yourself a favor though and play Ajax in the same lane that you're going to play either Sam Wilson or that shield, so that if the opponent happens to run rogue, you're at least getting that 50-50, or play it in the Man-Thing lane, although that is often severe overkill. That's it. That's how this list works. That's every card. Let's go turn by turn. So again, this is the highest win rate, high infinite deck. I tried to tell you about this weeks ago. You could have been on the train right away, but now play it before everyone catches on. So turn 1, Silver Sable. Turn 2, Sam over Scorpion. So sometimes it's going to be Scorpion first. It depends if you have, if you have Rocket Group. Cassandra or Rocket and Groot is your turn 3 play. It depends. I generally would like to get Cassandra out first, but sometimes it has to be Rocket and Groot so I can get that cheap Miles if I have Miles. Then we have Man-Thing as our turn 4 play. Man-Thing is almost always my turn 4 play if it's an option. You can also play a 3 in Miles if you don't have Man-Things. Your snap is generally around here. The instant you have Abomination and Ajax, and your Abomination is almost free. If your Abomination is cheap and can be played with Ajax, you are snapping the second that happens. Turn 5 is a bunch of stuff and Hazmat. You can also play all your mid-range cards with Hazmat that you want. This is a fine turn for Rocket and Groot if you must. Although, again, Rocket and Groot has to come out before 5 if you're going to try and Miles on this turn, right? But you can play that together. Sometimes you're going to go with Rocket and Groot on turn 4, so you can move it on turn 5, and then you can play Hazmat and other stuff. Because if you can get that Hazmat, Abomination is basically always free. Your opponent almost always has 5 cards, right? If you can go Ajax, Abomination, and Miles, Ajax is often, let's just say, he's usually more, but let's just say it's a weak Ajax and he's 15 power. Your Abomination is 9, that's 24. Your Miles is 6, that's 30. 30 power all over the board while your opponent has lost power is exceedingly hard to beat. This deck absolutely steals cubes. Next up, we got a Husky deck. Husky is much like O'Doyle in that he rules, but first, the Skaar farm from our friend Cougar. Go play this list. It is, again, right now, the top win rate deck in High Infinite. This absolutely farms the meta. Hey, come check out a stream early at the end of the week. At the end of this week, either Saturday or Sunday, again, I will let you know as soon as possible in an announcement. I will write it right here on this YouTube page. We are doing a streamabration where I'm going to give away hundreds of dollars in prizes. If you're interested, please make sure you come check it out on Twitch, twitch.tv/PulseQuiz. That will not be on YouTube, so you got to follow on Twitch. Our season pass question here. See the old question? Our new surprise question, our new secret question is, did you have a nice Valentine's Day? What'd you do? Let me know in the comments in order to enter to win that Sam Wilson. All right, next up, we've got Husky Hand. This is the official version of the Husky Puppies deck that he is around rank 12 in the world with. He's absolutely been crushing with this. This is one of my favorite decks in the game right now, period, bar none. It is very, very, very good into the meta. Shadow King is incredibly slept on, and almost no one is running it, so you running Shadow King gives you insane value, while Mobius is a very, very strong card. So Derek created the original version of this weeks ago, literally the first week of Victoria Hand being out, a month ago at this point, right? And then Husky recently updated it to add Mobius, Moonstone, and Shadow King, and the list has really taken off again since. For this list, you need Victoria Hand, Misery, Frigga, and Kate Bishop. All of those are required. Moonstone or Antivenom can be Mirage. If no Moonstone, you can also try Luke Cage. Mobius can be Red Guardian, Cosmo or Rogue. Speed can be Punisher, and Nico can be Ant-Man. Before we go on to turn by turn, I just want to make it clear that generally speaking, this is a Victoria Hand list. You win largely by Victoria Hand pumping a lot of your board. There are a few other win conditions that can be pulled off, but you have to build specifically for them. Excuse me. You can win with extra hoods just fine. If you have extra hoods, you should be pretty good at winning. Like extra demons technically, right? A few extra demons can really help you win, as can a Mobius that turns off opposing decks. Demon/Iron Patriot card can occasionally, not usually, can sometimes steal you a lane. If they can steal you a lane, your Speed Moonstone lane can be another win. So that's how you win without Victoria Hand. But again, Victoria Hand is your absolute key card here. Technically, Victoria Hand twice is your key card because you're trying to copy it with Nico. You're trying to copy it with Frigga, or you're trying to double it with Moonstone. If you can do any of those, you're probably going to win. Turn 1, you want Hood over most Nico. The Nicos you will play over Hood are Draw 2 or Copy. Turn 2, Victoria on the 1 so that she is protected from Red Guardian. You want to play Victoria on the 1, otherwise I probably wouldn't even play her. That's better than Iron Patriot, which is better than Kate Bishop. Victoria on a 1-drop can be a snap condition in and of itself if you're relatively sure the opponent's not running Rogue or Enchantress. I might wait an extra turn to see a location because you don't have a lot of location stuff, but it's pretty much a snap around then. Iron Patriot can be a snap. It depends what it gives you and if you think you can win. If both of those end up yes, then you can snap on that Iron Patriot, especially if you can Frigga that Iron Patriot card, which is an incredibly strong play on turn 4. Kate Bishop is your other turn 2 play. Be careful with Kate Bishop because if you go Hood into Kate Bishop into Misery on that Hood, you could run out of hand space. So be a little careful. Make sure you're clearing your hand so you draw. So turn 3, you want to Frigga that Victoria hand. You would also be fine playing Mobius. Mobius is generally turning off opposing Iron Patriots and slowing decks down. And Speed is usually your Iron Patriot winning card. Don't hesitate to go a really, really powerful play pattern that our friend Burr taught us is that you go Hood on 1, then you can play Victoria whatever on 2 elsewhere. You have to be bold and play it elsewhere in this case. Then you can play that Iron Patriot with the Demon on Hood, and turn 4, if you Misery that, you're very likely to win that lane and get 2 discounted cards out of Iron Patriot, which is just a win. So you can do that as well, but it is a harder play to pull off and it requires very specific draws. Turn 4 is pick your 4. Anti-Venom can be a snap based on the hit. You can also play a 2/2. This is your last Iron Patriot turn, your last good Iron Patriot turn anyway. And if you're playing Victoria Hand on turn 4, make sure it's second, lest you decide to Frigga it. It's worth remembering that frigging Victoria Hand, that second Victoria Hand, will in fact buff herself. So now you have a 2/7 Victoria Hand. Turn 5, 1+ Misery on Hood is a perfectly fine. You can just play Misery and Hood there. You can play a different one, and then you can drop Misery on Hood if you played Hood earlier. All good. You can also drop that on Iron Patriot if you would like to, although I'm less likely to do that on turn 5 than I am on turn 4. You can snap if you have multiple Victoria hands at this point, please. You also would like to very much generate some cards so that you can play that Victoria hand to max value at this turn. So this is your last turn to play like a Kate Bishop type card. Turn 6, you want generator cards, Second Hand, or Shadow King, or you can play your last 4-drop and a couple demons. If you play a Moonstone on a Victoria hand at this turn, those demons are 1/10s. So you've played a 4/6 and then 2 1/10s, and that's, again, usually enough to win most games of Marvel Snap. And that's how this list works. It's incredibly strong. But we're not done. We've got one more list for you. But first, this week especially, go check out the stream team. Today is Monday, so the great Gregor2424 will be streaming at 12 p.m. Eastern. Please do go check out our friend Gregor. He is playing these lists on stream, so if you want to see him in action, go check out Gregor. Behave should have a video up of yesterday's deck sometime soon. Lastly, we have Philip Woodward's Ronan deck. This is a really cool Ronan list. Woodward has climbed like 1,500 snap points into the top 5,000 with this list, and so we felt like we had to feature it because this is a decent budget list that has a lot of cool things going for it. For this, first, you can find Woodward on Twitter at Phil J. Woodward at Twitter. He's also the same thing on Blue Sky if you prefer better apps than Twitter. Good taste. Sage can be Wolfsbane or Juggernaut for this list. Sorry, you need Moonstone, Ravonna, and Sam Wilson. Nocturne can be Rocket Groot, Red Guardian, or Juggernaut. This is up major snap points. Turn 1, you want to play Ant-Man. Turn 2 is Ravonna over Sam over Master Mold. And you, generally speaking, will not play Maximus unless you have absolutely, like, you're dying nothing, even on turn 3. Turn 3, Cap over Nocturne over Cosmo. Turn 4 is generally speaking Moonstone. Moonstone can be a snap condition if you can get a Mystique or an Ant-Man under it, or protect it with that Cosmo. Be careful, you cannot Mystique it if you've put Cosmo there, so be wary. Moonstone over a 3-drop. You can just play your other 3, or you can play a 2/2. And Ravonna is very important. You'll see why when we get to 6. If you have the full Ravonna combo, you're going to snap as soon as you can. So turn 5, you Ronan, and how you follow up Ronan determines whether you're snapping. If you can play a reasonably protected Ronan, and you can get this turn 6 play, please snap. You can play Mystique, ideally under Moonstone. Mystique under Moonstone after Ronan is basically a snap condition even without Ravonna. You play that in either Maximus or Master Mold, and you should be good to go. So you have that Mystique play under Moonstone, right? You can also, if you have Ravonna, play Mystique and Maximus and Sage or Master Mold. And at that point, you've won the game, right? Like, it is insane power. It is really cool. Woodward is awesome at coming up with these really off meta great decks. Happy to see Nocturne in the list again. Props to our friend Phil Woodward. Questions of the day, and then we'll be out of here. Racco asked for my Cap Brave New World review, and my Captain America Brave New World review is it's about a 6 or 7 out of 10. It's a good movie. The hero's journey feels very, very similar to the original Cap and Winter Soldier, which is one of the strongest Marvel movies, while the villain journey is actually really fairly nuanced and well done. However, the movie does a really, really complicated job of avoiding being political. And considering that we're dealing with the US government and we're dealing with Captain America, like interacting with the US government and what that means, in being political, it sort of feels toothless. In being, sorry, apolitical, it ends up feeling toothless. It feels like a movie that wants to say something, but all it ends up really saying is you should be a good person. Cool. That's fine. I get that it has to appeal to everyone and it's a Disney movie, but it also just means that it's limits how interesting it can be. Really great performances, really fun action movie, but ultimately not much more than that. An upper mid-tier Marvel movie overall, which is better than most recent have been, and I'm happy I went to see it. Caretix Lee says, in a new segment I'd like to call Glazer Snaps, is there anything game related, socially, politically, or otherwise, that I've been wanting to get off my chest or say but haven't felt justified segment into it? I just want to hear you go off about something with passions. Okay. Well, I'm gonna curse here because I'm not gonna be able to stop myself. But fuck anyone who thinks the Department of Education should close. The Department of Education fundamentally funds a massive amount of schools that are impoverished, schools that really can't afford things. It funds a lot of education for ENL or students with disabilities, and there is nothing in place to really help these children. Children, should the Department of Education be gutted. I understand not wanting government waste, but you don't rip apart a department with nothing in place to fix it. That nothing is in place to fix or replace this is utterly absurd. You are harming children. If you are okay with harming children, get the fuck off my channel. Like, I mean, you're just a terrible person. James James Baldwin once said, and this is going to be a paraphrase, um, the children are all ours, no matter where they are. I think if you can't understand that, you can't understand morality. And that's just the truth. The children are all ours. If you can't be bothered to think that we should take care of children, give children their best chance to succeed, to be healthy, to be safe, and I know a lot of kids that safe space of school, then you're a terrible human being. And I mean that with every bit of my heart. These kids need this. Removing it will hurt kids. It will ruin lives. And maybe at some point, states should have some backup plan and there should be something else to do. But that's not how it works when you just rip it apart in at a moment's notice. That's not how this should happen. That's not how this is supposed to work. If you would like a different plan, then you implement the better plan and you slowly peel back the current one. By doing it overnight, all you're doing is destroying kids' lives. That's monstrous. Also, just for the record, if you're a WWE fan and you sat there and watched Triple H and Stephanie sit behind Linda as she talked about ruining kids' lives, that's why I don't fuck with that company. They're pieces of shit. Like, again, if you are okay with ruining kids' lives, you don't have morality. Sorry. Not sorry. All right, patreon.com/snapjudgments is one of the places that you can support the channel if you are so interested. Please check out patreon.com/snapjudgments. I'm going to say thank you first to the Patreon of the month, Ocularis. Then we're going to say thank you to Abigail Houston, Mandatory Burnout, Irregardless, LAB, Inc., I Am Frostman, Hota Navarrete, Thinking Poker, Prime Ryan, Ryan Burke, and Ryan Wood, Kirtix Lee, Koirei, Kazuchi, Archangel 3K, Black Dahlia, Parafros, The Goat Seeker, Hollowed, Nightmare, Only Fox, Synth, Fat Nick, Dirty Casual, Mr. Kerfuffle, Cables, Ginger Prime, Philip Brakovich, Haplo, Kenny Loggins of the Danger Zone, The Bizza, Black Jeebus 23, Exorcy, and Skippy G, Jessica Gamble, Slush Death, The King of Bros, Great Kazoo, Werewolf, Kepsi Hoda, Lunar Chris, Clam, Colonel Forbin, Rob Silverman, M. Holland, David G. Wingfield, Steven, Brian Kaufman, Tristan H. Martin, Jason B., Mr. Craig Starry, Matt V., Ren Wrench, Corwin, John Q., and Jimmy McHugh, Yistout, Eighth, Sage, One Big Man, Milkman for Reals, Cactus Jack, BG, Quid Pro Joe, Snap Decisions Joe, Models Not Supreme, The Green Goblin, Unibot, Flam 56, The Fuzzy Dunlop, Spectrum Mix, Who, MBTB Shannon, Matt H, DJ, Mikey Hijinks, No Frickin' Flex, Nick the Greek Geek, Zadrex, the King of Canada, Temnan Falcon, Fa Thor Newman, Jonesy, Two Ties, the Great Lord as the Pirate King Tucker, and of course Gunny T, where the T stands for. I'll see you tomorrow because I gotta break down that new card, and then we got some great guests for you the next couple days after that. Don't miss out. Check out some great videos on the left and the right. Sub by hitting the middle button. Peace.